It's time to visit with our good friend from the Des Moines Register, Rekha Basu. It's time for Rekha's Voice to find out what she's talking about in the Register this morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well,
are
thanks.
You staying
I'm
warm?
chilly. No, I was just saying, you know, I have to sleep with the dog on top of me at night. It's so cold all of a sudden. I was wearing socks and a sweater last evening going out to visit a friend. I was.
We want a picture. Next time we want a picture of this. I want to see what the mittens on, socks on, and then a calendar saying that it's August.
I'm telling you. Exactly. It makes no sense at all, and I'm holding Jason entirely responsible for this.
It is.
Yeah, it's all you're doing.
Yeah. It's October.
It's crazy, but it's going to get warm again this weekend, right?
Yes, it'll be beautiful.
Very
Thursday,
good.
Friday,
Because
Saturday.
I have a friend from New York coming out to see the state fair.
There you go.
And you want to impress them when they come into town, you know.
Exactly. You don't want it to be cold.
And the Des Moines Register represented out at the Iowa State Fair every single day.
Oh my gosh, the Register has been getting a lot of play nationally because of the soapbox stage and all of the presidential candidates coming through, and that's been fun. And I am sponsoring an Indian cooking contest, Indian food contest on Saturday. Yeah, it's called Can You Curry That?
Curry that to my belly.
Exactly.
When and where is that?
It's at the Elwell Food Center, and it's on Saturday at 11:30.
Okay.
And I mean, unfortunately, I think you had to register by the 1st of August or something if you're going to participate. But come and watch. I'll be judging, and
I think I would like that.
Well, that's good.
There, so it should be fun. We did it last year. Last year was the first year, and we got like 13 entries, which was really good stuff. Really
Do they all like melt your face off hot, or?
No, not all. No, they were actually mostly quite tame, but they were very interesting combinations. People played around, which we encouraged them to do, you know, and trying new things that you wouldn't traditionally think of as curries. Somebody made curried ice cream. It was very
ice cream?
Yeah, it was quite good, I must say.
It's an interesting take on that. So
it is. So it's worth stopping.
So that's happening this Saturday, but what's happening today in your article?
Okay, what's happening today in my column is once again, was it last week we were talking about Nancy Sebring and you know, school district superintendent in Des Moines and this, you know, sexual affair. Now we're talking about sex abuse and another school district superintendent whose son stands charged with it and has actually, you know, pleaded guilty to several counts of it out in Trainer, which is about 20 minutes from Omaha in western Iowa. And this is a very strange case because the Iowa Board of Educational Examiners recently ruled, like about a week ago, that this superintendent should be stripped of his license. His name is Kevin Elwood, should be stripped of his license for 30 days to be a school district superintendent because he allowed his son, who he knew to be a sexual abuser, at the time the kid was 17, 18 years old, to be working as a custodian in the school. And the kid is on the sex offender registry. So anyone who's on the sex offender registry is not allowed to have contact with children. And not only that, this guy, I mean, some of the things that this kid was accused of doing are pretty horrendous. The charges included kidnapping, taking people, you know, taking young women, who one of whom said that she considered him a friend, out to a remote area, saying they were going to meet friends, and then taking her out to like a cornfield and parking the car and forcibly removing her clothes, taking her shoes and her car keys away so she couldn't leave, you know, things like that that are really predatory and scary.
How is he out walking around?
Well, he did some time in jail. He served about 2 weeks in jail. He took a plea bargain, and that's because the victims' families wanted to be supportive of this kid's recovery. They thought maybe if he got counseling and treatment that he would be okay.
You probably know better than me, but the recovery rate for these people is fairly low, is it
You
not?
know, actually, I talked to Beth Barnhill about this. She's the head of the Iowa Coalition Against Sexual Assault, and she said, in general, if you catch people when they're at the juvenile stage doing this stuff, and you send them to treatment, and vigorous consequences, the outcome is very good.
Oh, good. Okay.
But what does not work is if those around them, including their employer and their father and mother, minimize the severity of the offenses, which is exactly what happened.
Right.
So the father, even though he hadn't actually taken a formal plea or been charged at the time that these events came to light, what the Board of Educational Examiners said was the father and mother were in the police department with the kid when he admitted to conduct that the police said was felonious, was a felony. And the parents heard all about this, but they said, oh yeah, he went too far with a girl. I mean, that was their way of minimizing it. And it is, and you know, and then allowing this kid to be working around children, and also, if you're on the sex offender registry, you're not even allowed to be at home among younger siblings who are vulnerable.
Oh, really?
But unless you're supervised. And this guy was at home with his younger siblings, unsupervised. He was completely, flagrantly violating every rule that had been put in front of him as far as who he should be around and what he should be doing. And yet the parents were making excuses for it.
So has this been made aware of now and it's changed, or what's happening now?
Well, so what's happening now is, unfortunately, I mean, this superintendent, Kevin Elwood, does not seem to want to learn from this experience, so he's resisting. He's filed an appeal to the 30-day suspension of his license in court, so now it gets dragged out through the court system again. So he's refusing to go quietly. And by the way, this issue has divided the community of Traynor, because half the community showed up with a petition saying this community, this district, has been undermining allegations of sexual abuse for a long time. There was a teacher, for example, he was a 5th grade teacher and a girls softball assistant coach, and he was found to, just yesterday there was a plea bargain that he accepted, and yet, you know, he was kept on paid leave for the whole of last year after these charges surfaced. Finally, he took paid leave. Yeah. And people had said that they had come forward and reported either to the school principal or to school district officials, but nothing shows up in his file. So the county attorney, who I've been in touch with out there at Potawatomi County, is just incensed by all of this and says, you know, there is this incredible pattern there.
Wow.
And nobody seems to be learning anything. And I have to say, the school board in Traynor has also been complicit in this, because they haven't been doing anything either. I mean, they should be keeping watch over the school district superintendent and his behavior towards his son, but they haven't. They've been complicit, which, as we've talked about before, often seems to happen with school boards, that they just make allowances for anything the superintendent does.
And it's a small town,
And it's a small town, and people take up sides, and there's another petition supporting this guy. So it's a mess. And you know, we just heard about this prep school case, right? Where, you know, a student is accused of sexual assault in a very elite prep school on the East Coast somewhere, I think. And again, you know, one of the advocates was saying that it's a small town, people take sides, and the victim's family and the victim feel completely isolated, so they've had to leave.
Yeah, this stuff is inexcusable.
It really, really is.
All right, so we can read more about your column today in today's Des Moines Register.
Exactly.
And we'll see you Saturday.
I will
at
see
the
you at
Iowa
the
State
fair.
Remind
Be
everybody
there.
where you're going to be.
What time?
Yes,
again?
11:30 at the Elwell Center, and it's a cooking contest called Can You Curry That I'm sponsoring. So please be there. It should be fun.
That'd be good. All right. 10 minutes before 9 o'clock, we'll be back.